Now I'm gonna come back here. There's a couple things. There's workflows. So workflows, when somebody goes and they join your list, the workflow is send them day 1, send this email, day 2, send this email, day 3, send this email, etc., etc. Now in the workflow, you can also do more complicated things. So you can be like, when they click here, do this. And it can get as complicated as you want. You can have an email saying like, send this email, and if they don't open the email, then 5 hours later, send this email, or send half this way and half this way. And like, there's a whole bunch of you can get really complicated, but you shouldn't. I'm not gonna. Right now, don't get complicated. There's an easy way to do it, but that's what a workflow is when somebody joins your list, what's the sequence, the workflow you want to take them through? Again, I call it the follow-up funnel. What's the follow-up funnel you want to take them through? And now broadcasts are different. Broadcasts are where something's happening and you're like, oh, I want to send an email to my entire list. Like, I'm doing a challenge tomorrow. I'm going to send an email to everybody in my database, everyone on my list, to get them to come to my challenge, right? Or I'm launching my book tomorrow. And so I can send a one-time broadcast that goes to everybody, okay? So if you want to do a one-time notification, it's a broadcast. If you've read the .com Secrets book, broadcasts are my daily Seinfeld emails, right? And so I click on create broadcast, and then you pick a theme, which my template should be right here, hopefully. Boom, Russell's Awesome Link template. I choose that, right? I'm gonna choose a template. And then from there, I'm gonna go and actually write the email. Loading. Email will be like, yo, it's Russell. Check out my new book. It's awesome. Woo! And then if I want to, I can throw content block and throw a picture of my book right there. Just throw a picture of the book, and then in my picture I'm gonna throw a button link, and then I'll put some more text right here, like, you can get a free copy. Copy at .com secrets. .com, right? And I can underline it and then bold it, and then put a little link right here, and then type in link, www.comsecrets.com. Of course I spelled it wrong. Click OK, and now I made a link. So if someone clicks on that link in the email, it goes there, right? I can make the button, same thing. Let me link this button. Come over here, what link is it gonna be? Okay, it's gonna go to .comsecrets.com if they open the link, right? I can do the same with the picture, throw the picture there, upload a picture, etc. So that's how it works. After it's done, then it says broadcast name, so I'm gonna say test, so say what's your broadcast topic, and if you ever know what that something is, click over the little I and usually it'll tell you. Yeah, you can find out exactly what it is. There's topic, and then who you want to send it to. You send 8 people, and then basically right in there, you write your subject line, you write your pre-header, you click send it immediately, send it tomorrow at 6, whatever it is. But that's how you do broadcast. So it's like, I need to send an email to everybody right now, boom. And it's cool because you can segment it. So I want to send it to everybody, or it's like, oh, I only want to send to people who, and you can do different settings, like people who bought this product, or people who joined this funnel, people who have actually downloaded my book. And there's a whole bunch of things you can do, okay? But that's outside the context of this training. I just want to show you that's what a broadcast is and how it works. And then you can send it out and boom, like whenever you need it. So you'll start using broadcasts a lot, right? Someone comes to my list, they join a workflow, and then if you've read the .com Secrets book, the workflow is the the soap opera sequence. They get the soap opera sequence, they're building a relationship with me, and after they finish the soap opera sequence, then I send a broadcast to them after that. Okay, so for your homework tonight though, it's all about workflows. I'm gonna come into workflow, and first thing you do is you're gonna create a new workflow. Okay, and so for this one, I'm gonna come back here, and this is the workflow I'm gonna be creating, right? This 5-day sequence right here. So I'm gonna call it the new member, or how about the get to know me sequence? Get to know me. Okay, and then I'll just kind of ignore the rest. There's different options, and I'm not gonna go deep in that, but these things are more technical, like runs once per contact, runs multiple times per contact, blah, 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 blah. Like, don't stress about those things. You can change them, you can edit them, and then click on create workflow. Okay, so now it's gonna create this workflow, which is basically my ability now to start saying, hey, what's the first message, the second message, the third message, okay? So right here is trigger. So, and I'm gonna come back to this, but basically the triggers, like what is the trigger that makes somebody start getting these emails? So you can add a trigger and say, okay, this trigger is when somebody orders something, when they opt in, when they page view. So you can set a trigger where if someone lands on my thank you page, send this email sequence, or if someone lands on my blog where I'm talking about blah, 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 send them this email sequence, right? Or in this situation, it's when someone gives me their email address, right? It's a lead magnet. They gave me the email address. I'm gonna let them opt in. So I click on opt in, and this is what funnel is that from. I look through here. I can't remember which one it was, but let's say it's that funnel. That's why you need to make sure you name your funnels. and then it picks the page. So that's the page. When they register on this page, inside this funnel, then send them an email and make it active. So that's the trigger. Does that make sense? A trigger is basically what triggers the sequence, what starts it. So now I just told it, like when somebody goes to my funnel, and they put their email address in, then trigger the sequence, okay? So now you can come down and say, okay, well, what goes in the sequence? I click this little sidebar over here, it's gonna pop out, and these are all the different things I could potentially do. Okay, there's a lot. You can tag a contact, you can add notes, you can trigger things, you can do a whole bunch of things. But for this, what all you want for your homework is we're just gonna send out emails. We're gonna make this simple. So you're gonna grab this right here, you grab right here, drag it down here, and boom, they're gonna get an email. Okay, this is what's email name. So email name number one is what? Is who you are. So I'm gonna call it who you are. Who you are. And then you can design the email. So I'm gonna grab the email design. I'm gonna go to my templates. I'm gonna grab the greatest template of all time, which is the Russell Brunson awesome template. Just gonna throw a template in there. Boom, there it is. And then you come down here. Oops, you come down here, type the subject line. So whatever the subject line is, subject line. A pre-headline. So if you look at your emails, when you come back here in an email sequence, so if you start looking down here, you'll notice that like it says your chance to be Funnel Hacking Live is here. That's the subject line, and then the second subject line, that's the pre-headline. So it doesn't show up in every email client, but in Gmail it does, right? In other ones it does as well. So anytime you look at this, like the first, again, Batman is a failure, that is my subject line, and then this next thing right here, which is, and I'll prove it to you, that is the pre-headline, right? So it's kind of like two subject lines. So I'll do something like, hey, this is so cool, right? Try to get someone's attention. So it grabs them when they're scrolling through emails, and then pre-head's like, did you know this is the last one? So now it's like two hooks, right? Two visual hooks that they'll see when they log in the email. Okay, so I'm always thinking, like, what are the two hooks to get someone to stop and actually click on it, right? You get two shots. And so that's what the subject line, the pre-head is. And then email, you pick the email from the thing, and you create step number 2. Right? And so there's the first email. Okay, so what that means now is that when this workflow is triggered, immediately it's gonna send out this email. Okay, I'll make this a little bit bigger here. So the trigger happens, this email gets sent. Now, the next thing I wanna do is I wanna start creating delays. Because if I'm not careful, if you build all 5 emails back to back to back, when someone opts in, it's gonna be like, email 1, and they get 5 emails quickly. And I've made that mistake more than once, right? So the next step is you set the delay. So you grab this, put a delay in here. The delay says how many hours. So I'm gonna say usually 1 day, right? So the workflow will trigger, immediately they're gonna get this email, and then 1 day later, there's gonna be a delay, and then what happens 1 day later, then we're gonna send them email number 2. Okay, same thing, email number 2, what am I calling that one? I'm calling that one, what do you do? What do you do? And I'm gonna design the email. As you know, I'm grab it, go to my template, boom, select template, and then boom, my pre-head, change the email address there, create a step, and now you got email number 2, right? So the workflow is triggered, boom, they get this email immediately, there's a 1 day delay, and then they get this email, and you start to keep building that, right? So they come back again, like, what's the next step in the path? Next step, we're gonna go and we're gonna delay again, and maybe delay this one like, you know, instead of delaying a day, maybe you, looks like I dropped it somehow, something that happens. Maybe you delay it 3 days or a day and a half, or just kind of depends what you want to do. I traditionally, when someone opts in, I figure in my head, like, if they opted in right now, this is the time of day they're used to like clicking on something and opting in. So I'm just gonna send it 24 hours. So I usually almost always do mine 24 hours. Sometimes I'll do 12 hours if it's like a campaign or a launch, or maybe it's like I'll do 3 in a day, but then I usually go back to like just 24 hours. So that's kind of how I typically do mine. So boom, I got 1 day duration, add in there, and then keep going from there. Right? And so that's how you kind of go and you build out the entire email sequence. Then one thing I do want to show you, you click on here. You also can go in here, obviously, and edit the email. So this is where you're going to go and actually take the copy, take the copy from the email copy generator and go and copy email number 1 in here, right? So copy email number 1 in here. All right, you have the whole emails in here for email number 1. And you save and exit. Boom. All right, for some reason it took me out of the workflow, so I'm just gonna click back on workflows, get back to where I left off. Sometimes ClickFunnels does weird things. I'll report that as a bug. Anyway, come back here, now email number 1, who you are. Boom, you see there's the email to be sent, and it's all good. Okay, so I'm gonna go back through and do that for email number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all the emails here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's your homework is to build those out. Now, if you haven't written all 5 or 6 emails yet, that's okay, but at least build out the sequence. You got day 1, a break, day 2, a break, day 3, a break. So you have the flow here. Then you can come up here and you go and you can enable the workflow. So you have to enable it for it to actually work, okay? That way it doesn't automatically start, because you could accidentally build a thing and you turn a trigger on, all of a sudden, boom, it starts triggering and people start getting emails before you're done or you're ready. So that's why you can turn off and on. Now that's activated. You can also come here and you'll be able to see the stats. You'll be able to see like how many people clicked on links, how many sales came from each email. You'll be able to see like how many email, this email right here has generated $5,000 in profits. You can actually go deeper and be like, oh, and 3,000 came from this link, 2,000 came from the footer link, and it's kind of crazy. When you start doing this for a long time, you'll come back to these workflows and look at your analytics, your sales stats, and be blown away how like this email I wrote 3 years ago, which is email number 2 in my workflow, has made me X amount of dollars because all the people that keep coming through and seeing it. So the stats are loading slow right now, but you get the gist. And so those are all in there as well. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna come back here. We're gonna go back to the dashboard. Come back to our site and our funnel, come down to our funnels. And now I told you before, remember we have our funnel here. So go back to the funnel. Now I need to go and connect that workflow to this funnel, okay? Now, it may have already happened because I told you I set a trigger, so the trigger would go off here. But you can also come here just to make sure it's gonna happen, right? And so right here it says choose an existing workflow. The get to know me sequence is the workflow I just created. So I select that and say, okay, when somebody opts into this page, then attach this workflow. Okay, notice the left-hand side, you see here's the funnel pages, right? Page 1, page 2, and then here's the workflow that happens, right? This is the same workflow we worked on earlier today. So you can come back here, you can keep building this workflow while it's attached right here and see it actually attached here to this page in the funnel. So anyway, it's kind of fun. Again, this is gonna be your first time building out workflows and email sequences. Again, I call them follow-up funnels, but that's what this is. This is this huge follow-up funnel. Email, people join the list and they get email number 1, then email 2, number 3, number 4, and it's just a funnel, just like everything else we do, right? So that's how emails work. Again, emails are the secret. It's the key. It's how you have success inside this business. So I wanna make sure you guys understand the strategy behind it, and hopefully you do now a little bit better.